Congressman Biggs, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Charlie. Good to be with you.
So, Congressman, I want to play cut 3 of something Dr. Birx said, and then I'll allow you to elaborate on it for our audience. Play cut 3.
I knew these vaccines were not going to protect against infection, and I think we overplayed the vaccines, and it made people then worry that it's not going to protect.
She knew they weren't going to work. Did she lie under oath, Congressman? Should she be prosecuted for that? What are your thoughts?
First of all, I think she probably did lie under oath. And then the DOJ probably should investigate and determine if they're going to prosecute. I doubt that they will. I mean, DOJ is extremely friendly to the left, and she certainly is in the left. I think it also reveals exactly what people like you and I said for a year and a half, 2 years, that what was going on was a pandemic, that it was designed to gain control over the American people, and they got control to an incredible degree, took away freedoms, attacked freedom and liberty, and that they did it so they would get that power. And then I guess the third thing is, if you want a great expose about Dr. Birx, Dr. Scott Atlas's book about the working on COVID issues, I think really reveals that she was intransigent and she wanted power, and she was an egotist and arrogant. And all of that is revealed in her recent testimony and in the excerpts from her book that are out there, Charlie. This is a person who is dangerous, and it shows how tyrannical our own government can be.
And yes, what's so troubling to me, though, is how she was largely not held accountable. It was her and Dr. Fauci that were able to run the entire medical apparatus of our country for quite a long time under Donald Trump. I mean, what is the lesson here? I mean, I was trying to warn people about Birx in the White House at the time, Scarf Lady, and I was not taken seriously. A lot of people were not. A lot of the personnel in the White House still defend Birx to this day and still defend Fauci to this day. Is Birx really now admitting, well, we knew the vaccine was not what we said it was this entire time? How can we ever trust these institutions again?
I think, Charlie, you're right. We should learn some things about bureaucracy, that you can't trust these bureaucrats. You cannot trust them. You and I was on the same page with you, and we were talking about Dr. Birx. So just like Dr. Fauci needs to be held accountable, Deborah Birx needs to be held accountable. And we have to keep going to find out, because the bureaucracy has taken over our government to a certain extent. And the bureaucrats like that control, and they'll never relinquish that control. And it doesn't matter. One lesson to learn here is it doesn't matter who the occupant of the White House is, because the bureaucrats tend to act independently and alone, and they're all leftists. So you can put your anointed people in here. They anointed two bad people in Fauci and Birx, but everybody underneath them was going to support that position. So when Scott Atlas is brought in, they hate Scott Atlas because they've created this mindless orthodoxy of control and misinformation to the American people. And Atlas is telling the truth. And so he's heterodox to them. And so they're going to persecute him. And we as American people were misled and lied to by the people who we thought we'd trust. So when you say, will we ever trust him again? I don't know how we do. It's going to take, in my opinion, a generation or more to build that trust back. And I, quite frankly, don't see the type of leadership that's going to come in and help us rebuild trust. And I think we should just dismantle the bureaucracy altogether.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's terrible when you think about it, and it's hard for me to kind of get over it. She has mass amounts of new people in poverty on her hands. She has blood on her hands, all the businesses that were closed, all the disruptions that happened. And then she lied blatantly and completely, and Republicans are still defending her. It's just extraordinary to me. Just 1 minute remaining here, Congressman Biggs. I want to ask you, how is it that when the new Congress takes over, because I think we are going to take over in November, I'm not sure by what margin, what do you think can actually be done to hold these medical tyrants accountable?
You've got several things, Charlie. Number one is we have to have real oversight hearings in both the oversight and the judiciary committees. We'll have control of those committees. We can bring them in. We can expose them. DOJ is not going to do anything to them. Let's be honest with you. But we have something. If we reinstitute, it's called the Homan Rule, and what it does is it basically zeroes out specific positions, and that's what we should do: zero out specific positions of people who lied or misled to the American public, so they don't get any fiscal reward for lying to the people, as we have taxpayers with taxpayers' money.
Congressman Biggs, stay right there. From the great state of Arizona, I want to ask you about some Arizona stuff, including President Trump's rally last week and the upcoming primary there. There's some new polling out there that I think people are going to find very interesting in both the Senate and the governor's race. Congressman Biggs, stay right there. Thank you. Phenomenal commentary, as always. Kirk.com. Andy Biggs joins us from the wonderful state of Arizona. He does a fabulous job. And I was trying to get him to run for Senate for a while, and he decided not to. So then I just recently endorsed Blake Masters, who is also terrific. We're enthusiastically behind him. I know Congressman Biggs has not endorsed, and he's a grassroots conservative. I am curious, though, just on his general take on the race and the direction of Arizona. Congressman Biggs, what is your take? The primary is just right around the corner.
I would say, looking right now, all the polling I've seen, and Charlie, I get all over the state, talk to groups. I would say Blake has the edge right now. I think he probably has a little better than a margin of error edge. I would say Jim Layman's probably second. I think falling down a little bit, it would be the AG Mark Brnovich. But I would say right now, it looks to me like this is going into the last week. It's probably Blake Masters' race to lose.
What do you think about the governor's race? It's been awfully nasty, hard to watch. What do you think?
It has been nasty and very difficult to watch, and I don't know how we're going to come together after it's over. I hope we can, because nothing would be worse than a Katie Hobbs governorship, regardless of who the Republican candidate is. I would say this looks to me like a photo finish right now, Charlie. The last polling I saw had this a neck and neck. I've actually seen. It looks to me like Kerry was up a little bit on the last poll I saw, and Karen was behind. But I did see a poll right before that where Karen had edged up, and so I'm looking at it as a photo finish. And what I'd tell you too, Charlie, is that the mail-in ballot return is exceptionally low, and I don't know. It tells me a couple things. Number one, people still don't trust the elections, but I would tell people get your ballot in sooner rather than later. And it tells me also that there's a lot of undecideds out there, and that means that the sprint to the end here this last week is going to determine the whole outcome, because people have waited so long. Maybe there's a lot still of who haven't decided.
Yeah, I find that to be true. At least with some of my family members in Scottsdale, they refuse to put it in the mail. They said, no. Next week, I'm driving to the local Secretary of State's office. I'm going to look the person in the eye. I'm going to make sure it's processed. I get the number that I get to check up on it on the internet. I am not playing any games at all. And then President Trump just had a rally, and he endorsed Kerry Lake and Blake Masters there. It was a huge rally. One of his focuses was the border. Andy, this is something that is just a constant invasion of our beautiful state of Arizona. Are we seeing any improvements? What's the estimate of how many people are crossing every single day across the southern border?
Well, the estimate, if you include known gotaways and getaways that we just estimate, you're probably looking at 9,000 to 12,000 a day on average, all across the southern border. And right now, Charlie, we're seeing something we hadn't seen recently, and that is two things. Number one, sometimes Yuma leads the whole country in border encounters. Sometimes it's Del Rio. Most of the times it's RGV. But something you're seeing in Yuma that we hadn't seen until the last couple months, is actually runners, getaways. And so last time I was there, just about 2.5 weeks ago, 300 people. And all of a sudden, The Border Patrol, there were 2 Border Patrol agents there, and one has to leave to go chase runners while the other one is left there with, almost 300 people there. And he's trying to maintain control and order of those 300 people, which is it's easier because those people know they're going to be released into the country. So it's as bad as ever, going to get worse, I fear.
Well, Andy Biggs from the great state of Arizona, thank you for speaking out against the invasion. And as President Donald Trump says in regards to the Arizona primary, we'll see what happens. God bless you, Andy. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Charlie. Appreciate it.